Before we start the review of episode Aigis The Answer, keep in mind that this is an add-on that takes place after the events of Persona 3 Reload, which means that there might be potential spoilers. No need to fret, however, as I'll speak of any endgame moments from the original in a roundabout sort of way. Episode Aigis The Answer is a full expansion pack of sorts for developer ATLUS and publisher SEGA's critically acclaimed remake, Persona 3 Reload. Once an additional campaign first made available in Persona 3 FES back a good decade and a half ago, it has now been fully reimagined with added quality of life changes, as well as looking quite nice to boot. Episode Aigis is set after the events of the main game, hence spoiler warning, when the main character, aka you or the MC, has a sudden epiphany that school is extremely boring and, without a word, found himself going to sleep for a very long time. It's been some time after the SEES take you up to your dorm and tucks you into bed and close the door shut. You know, instead of doing something normal like taking your comatose body to a medical facility, I suppose the next best place is your room. Junpei, Yukari, Fuka, and everyone are going about their daily lives, and without the MC's presence, it's fairly clear that the company is having issues keeping together. Particularly for Aigis, the straightforward android who was very attached to you in the main game story. Unable to live without the person she swore to protect, she finds herself at a crossroad in her existence, and on the 31st of March, announces plans to leave the dorms and her school life the next day. Well, that's what should have happened, but the 1st of April never arrives. In fact, trouble quite literally bursts out of the lower floors of their dorms in the form of an android just like Aigis. Chaos ensues and the crew comes back together to find out what lies beneath their floors. Though not like they had much choice. Their dorms are sealed off, so the only way to go up is down. The Abyss of Time is our new Tartarus, housing a number of doors in an infinite desert. Now named leader of SEES, thanks to inhabiting a certain someone's special powers, Aigis will lead the company through trials and tribulations, fighting off shadows and chasing the shadow in the shape of a very familiar individual. Side note, it's funny really, after Aigis is named leader, she immediately almost loses her ability to speak. I guess main characteropathy is a real disease. Once again, we're crawling through familiar territory. Going over Persona 3's gameplay would be a retread of my original review, except now you get to play as everyone's favorite blonde toaster. Aigis shoots enemies from afar to gain advantage in battle, and some nice dash moves that upgrade over the course of the game. I'll be honest, her controls are more clunky as her shooting is dependent on whatever she targets in range first, and depending on what you have in front of you, she'll likely miss more often than you'd like, thus losing you the advantage and potentially getting you wiped, depending on what you're facing. Beyond that, it's word for word the same dungeon crawling gameplay from the base game. There's rearranged music from the original FES release, and the new surprise attack theme is wonderful. I do love the visuals of the new areas, and there are fun challenges to be had beyond the doors of the Abyss of Time. Now, here's my issue. Episode Aigis focuses solely on this aspect of Persona 3 Reload, and though it can be fun, that was never my sole reason for enjoying the game so much. Playing The Answer, I think there's a reason why future Persona entries built their additional dungeons into the base game. You also can't bring too much with you from your original game save to episode Aigis. Only a certain percentage of your Persona compendium will transfer over on every difficulty except Heartless, and those Personas will be heavily dumbed down from what you had. No money too. Without the other half of Persona, and by also having to rebuild everything you've built in the main game, The Answer is a 20+ hour dungeon crawling adventure that struggled to keep my attention, if not only to get some answers. Going through the motions once more with enemies that have high defense and bloated HP pools was not my cup of tea. For what it's worth, episode Aigis is a lengthy campaign and does a good job of pacing its plot points across floors and doors. I won't go over any specifics, but if you loved the base game story and want to learn more about the past of the SEES cast, including our latest member Metis, you'll need to trudge through episode Aigis. I have some gripes with how characters look back at their past, as I thought they had long since let bygones be bygones, but outside of some retreads, The Answer does a great job of keeping its mystery throughout the course of the campaign. There are also some conversations that Aigis can have with the other party members that improve their combat abilities and add some much needed lightheartedness to a setting that is still reeling from a tragedy. Episode Aigis is a great addition to Persona 3 Reload, if only for the additional story content and new battle challenges. But this episode sheds too much from the base game, leaving a tedious adventure in the wake for those looking for The Answer. P.S. If you think about it, the answer is usually found through tedium. Could this be a metaphor? Who knows?